I got to them. Oh boy, and I can't say who they are, and I can't really say.
That's fine.
And I can't really say what they told me, but it's ironclad. It's 1,000% true. Okay, I know exactly what happened to the kids. The kids are.
The silent shift. For weeks, the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan was a story stuck in a haunting silence. The initial frenzy had faded. Search crews had come and gone. Volunteers were reaching the limits of their exhaustion, and the tips that once flooded the phone lines had slowed to a trickle. The public was left with a gnawing uncertainty, wondering if the truth would ever surface, or if the Sullivan children would simply become another cold case. But just minutes ago, the atmosphere shifted. It didn't happen with a loud press conference or the dramatic glare of flashing lights. Instead, it was a quiet, calculated legal move that spoke louder than any media announcement. A new RCMP warrant has been filed, and according to multiple sources close to the investigation, this move was anything but routine. It was targeted. Late at night, while the community slept, investigators submitted a request that directly ties a specific individual to the disappearance. There were no headlines and no warnings, but inside law enforcement circles, the move caused immediate tension. This warrant wasn't a fishing expedition for general data or random records. It focused on one name that, until now, the public barely knew: Darin Geddes. According to investigators, the RCMP has been watching Geddes for weeks. He was never supposed to be a central figure in this tragedy. In the beginning, he appeared to be just another concerned local, someone who showed up to help, someone who talked a lot, and someone who seemed desperate for answers. He attended community gatherings, shared theories online, and presented himself as a pillar of support. But behind the scenes, a troubling pattern was emerging. He kept appearing where he shouldn't have been, maintaining a proximity to the investigation that felt increasingly uncomfortable. Darin Geddes managed to insert himself into the very heart of the Sullivan case. He didn't just have physical access to the areas surrounding the investigation. He had social access. He cultivated relationships within the family's inner circle and was seen near the Sullivan home more than once. This prompted the RCMP to ask a critical question. Why was this man always so close, yet never officially involved? As investigators dug deeper, the concerned neighbor persona began to fracture under the weight of geolocation data. One of the first major breaks came from phone pings that raised immediate red flags. Sources indicate that Geddes' phone pinged twice near the bridge area, a location of intense interest, after that area had already been searched and cleared by professional crews. This was strange enough on its own, but the suspicion deepened when it was revealed that Geddes never reported being there. When asked indirectly about his whereabouts, his timeline simply didn't match the digital evidence. In the world of modern forensics, phone pings don't speculate. They record a presence that cannot be explained away by a faulty memory. The digital trail only grew darker from there. Forensic teams recovered fragments of deleted, encrypted messages that were never meant to see the light of day. Two messages in particular stood out, time-stamped just days after the official search had begun. One referenced a blanket spot, while another, chillingly short, simply read, "It's done." While the RCMP has not publicly confirmed the sender, the weight of these messages was enough to justify the targeted warrant. The investigation was no longer just looking for Lilly and Jack. It was looking at the man who seemed to be everywhere they were. Within the last 24 hours, the pressure has caused those closest to Geddes to start cracking. The RCMP quietly re-interviewed 3 associates, and the results changed the direction of the case entirely. While one person refused to cooperate and another immediately sought legal counsel, a third person began to talk. This cooperation appears to have pushed the investigation into an aggressive new phase. Central to this new focus is a vehicle matching Geddes' description, which was reportedly seen reversing down a remote gravel service road just behind the official search perimeter. The timing of this sighting is critical. It occurred just days before the discovery of the pink blanket, raising the most serious questions of the case so far. Why would anyone be behind a cordoned-off search area? Why reverse down a service road instead of driving forward? Most importantly, why be there at all? The discovery of that pink blanket had already made investigators uneasy. It was found long after the area had been searched, appearing clean, folded, and placed with deliberate care. Now, with new digital and physical evidence, the RCMP believes the scene was staged. They suspect someone returned to the cleared area to place the blanket, and that possibility leads directly back to Geddes. While the public focused on the search crews, the RCMP was quietly collecting trail camera footage from private properties, like the one owned by Melissa Scott. Her cameras have been running silently for weeks, recording the remote access paths near the bridge. Insiders suggest this footage shows movement long after the official search ended, movement that the RCMP believes signals the preparation of a crime scene rather than a discovery. The transition from a helper to a suspect for Darin Geddes was paved by data that simply didn't lie. He handed out flyers, attended vigils, and comforted the family. But when the RCMP compared his confident public statements to his digital history, the alignment vanished. His GPS history contradicted his timeline, and his deleted text suggested a hidden channel of communication. Even a polygraph test he agreed to take reportedly raised significant concerns. The RCMP's behavior has shifted accordingly. They have pulled back from the media and redirected every available resource toward this single lead. This is no longer a missing persons case. It is an active criminal investigation. The silent warrant signaled that the police are moving from uncertainty to preparation. One of the most disturbing revelations involves the search history found on Geddes' devices. A warrant allowed access to his online activity, revealing searches that occurred after the children went missing. He wasn't searching for ways to help. He was searching for how long scent lasts outdoors, the accuracy of search dogs after rain, and how long before police give up a grid search. These aren't the queries of a concerned citizen. They are the questions of someone worried about being caught. Context is everything in a criminal investigation, and when these searches are combined with unexplained movements and proximity to the scene, they form a pattern of pressure. The "it's done" message, time-stamped just hours before the blanket was found, remains a haunting centerpiece of the digital evidence. The RCMP is now back-checking every item found at the scene with fresh eyes, focusing not just on what the objects are, but exactly when they arrived. The investigation has recently uncovered potential reason why Geddes' name stayed hidden for so long. There appear to be connections between the Geddes family and a former CPS worker who had previously visited the Sullivan home. Investigators now believe these social links may have created a delay in the early stages of the probe, not necessarily out of desire to protect him, but because of a natural hesitation to look closely at someone so connected. In a missing children's case, however, every hour delay matters, and the RCMP is now making up for lost time. The authorities are increasingly convinced that the disappearance was not a random or impulsive act. They suspect it was planned, coordinated, and meticulously covered up. The delayed statements, the sudden appearance of the blanket, and the calculated silence of the suspect all point toward a staged event. To break this silence, the RCMP has focused on the power of the interview. They have conducted multiple follow-ups with the same individuals, asking the same questions over and over. This is where the truth usually leaks out, not in a dramatic confession, but in the small shifts in wording and the sudden onset of vague memories. One timeline in particular has become the focal point: the window between when Lilly and Jack were last seen and when the official concern was raised. At least 3 different versions of this window have been provided by those involved. The RCMP believes this discrepancy is where the crime is hidden. The breakthrough finally came from a witness with direct knowledge who asked for protection before speaking. They described a pattern of behavior that was controlled and calculated, claiming someone knew exactly which areas wouldn't be watched. The RCMP has built a detailed behavioral profile of their primary person of interest. It describes an individual who inserted themselves into the tragedy to seek attention, while simultaneously trying to avoid scrutiny. Someone who knew just enough to sound informed but became defensive the moment the questions turned toward them. While the public is clamoring for an arrest, the RCMP is being strategic. An arrest made too early, without a mountain of corroborating evidence, risks a total collapse in court. They are closing the gaps, seeking uncontaminated truth. The final phase of the investigation involves a massive digital cross-check. Phone data, vehicle movements, trail camera footage, and witness statements are being layered on top of one another. They aren't looking for perfection. They are looking for alignment. According to sources, that alignment has finally been found. The unknowns are shrinking, and the case is no longer drifting. Abruptly vanished. Belinda realized the pattern. Those clues have been planted to send everyone in circles to give the impression of an accidental wandering off. Only now did she understand that staging served a darker purpose, masking a removal orchestrated by those who should have protected Lilly and Jack. Whispers of family discord now took chilling shape. Everything she needed to know, that the narrative of two children lost in the woods was a carefully crafted lie, and they deserve a clarity that only the truth can provide. The walls are closing in, and while the RCMP has not yet announced a formal arrest, the silence currently hanging over the investigation is the silence of a trap being set. This is only the beginning of the end.